This lesson is about the periodic table, more specifically, how the periodic table is arranged and how the elements are classified. The elements are arranged in rows or periods and columns, which are the groups or chemical families. The groups go up and down and they are the columns and they represent the chemical families, whereas periods go left to right and they're horizontal. Personally, I find the easiest way to remember the difference between a group and a period is that periods and sentences are always horizontal, and so periods are horizontal and they go left to right. There's 3 classifications of elements within the periodic table. They're either metals, nonmetals, or metalloids. Most elements are metals and they're represented by the blue boxes in this periodic table. The nonmetals are within the pink boxes, and the metals and the nonmetals are separated by the black staircase. So all of the metals are on the left side, and then all the nonmetals are to the right of the black staircase. The exception is hydrogen. Hydrogen is a nonmetal, but it is on the side where all the metals are. These are the properties of metal elements. They have luster, so high luster if they're shiny, low luster if they're dull. They are conductive, so they are good conductors of electricity and thermal energy. They are malleable and can be hammered into different shapes, more specifically hammered into sheets. They are ductile, and so they can be pulled into long, thin wires, and most metals react with acids. Examples include iron, nickel, copper, gold, and silver. Alloys are special. They consist of various metal elements blended together. An example would be stainless steel. Stainless steel is made up of iron, nickel, and chromium. As awesome as metals are, they do have some hidden hazards. For example, nickel is often used to make posts and wires of jewelry, but a lot of people are allergic. Mercury and lead are very dangerous, and they've found their way into our environment. If you pause the video, you can have a look at the areas where you could find lead in homes and also the symptoms of lead poisoning. Lead is also often mixed with other elements to add strength, for example, leaded glass. Some lead can then dissolve within acidic drinks like fruit juice. In 2010, drinking glasses found in a Warner Brothers store within California had glasses that contained 16 to 30% lead. The legal limit within the US is 0.03%. Also, plumbing within old buildings is made up of copper pipes held together with solder that contains lead. Both are toxic and dissolve readily in hot water. Now that we've discussed metals, let's go through nonmetals. Over 90% of all known substances are made up of nonmetals, and most things around you are nonmetal. When you think about the air that we breathe in, most gases within the air are nonmetal elements. The composition of air is nitrogen, oxygen, argon, and some other gases. Here are some properties of nonmetal elements. Most are gases at room temperature. There are some that are solid and a couple that are liquid. Solid nonmetals don't have the metallic shine, so they don't have that high luster present within some metals. Most are actually dull, or they can also be colorful. Solid nonmetals are brittle and poor conductors of electricity and thermal energy. Examples include carbon, sulfur, iodine, oxygen, and bromine. Now that we've discussed metals and nonmetals, let's move on to the metalloids. The metalloids are the elements that are along the black staircase, and they have properties that are similar to that of metals and to that of nonmetals. Metalloids are solid at room temperature, and some are weak conductors of electricity and heat. Examples include boron, silicon, and arsenic. Some metalloids can conduct electricity to some degree, example silicon. Semiconductor is something that's used to make parts of electric circuits within electronic devices. And what's really good about these semiconductors is that the flow of electricity within a semiconductor is more easily controlled than the flow of electricity in a conductor like copper. And so it's more beneficial to use metalloids like silicon to make computer chips because you can control the flow of electricity that's flowing through it. Whereas if computer chips were made up of copper, then your computers could overheat very easily. And that wraps up our lesson. So just to recap, elements are arranged in rows, so periods, and columns, which are the groups or chemical families. To the left of the staircase are all of the metals. To the right of the staircase are the nonmetals, and along the black staircase are the metalloids.